नमस्कार, मैं अशोक व्यास हूँ। कार्यक्रम इनसाइट टुनाइट में आज हम बात करने वाले हैं राष्ट्रपति के रूप में उत्तरदायित्व लेने के बाद में ट्रंप जी की उपस्थिति किस तरह से डिसरप्ट कर रही है सिस्टम को। पर उस तरफ जाने से पहले जो जीत विशेष रूप से हर्ष और उल्लास का संचार कर रही है सभी क्रिकेट प्रेमियों और भारत प्रेमियों में, खास करके आईसीसी की चैंपियनशिप रोहित शर्मा के नेतृत्व में भारत के हिस्से फिर से कप का आना और किस तरह से दुबई में भारत ने ये मैच खेला जबकि मेजबानी पाकिस्तान कर रहा था। उन सारी बातों के साथ में जो आतिशबाजी हुई उसका उल्लेख करते हुए कहीं ना कहीं एक दुखद घटना जो मध्य प्रदेश महू में हुई है, जिसमें जुलूस जो उत्सव मनाने के लिए निकल रहा था, वहां पर जो हालात बने वो एक अलग चिंता को जन्म देते हैं। पर आज हम उस विषय पर चर्चा नहीं करके बात करेंगे अमेरिका के नए तेवर की। और हमारा साथ देने के लिए डॉक्टर सुधीर बिष्ट और राजेंद्र हर्षी जुड़ गए हैं। नमस्कार।
नमस्कार अशोक जी।
सुधीर जी, आपका म्यूट से हटना बहुत आवश्यक है ताकि आप
जी 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 नमस्कार जी। नमस्कार।
प्रजातंत्र जो है उसमें आवाज का बड़ा महत्व है। आवाज की बात को लेते हुए राजेंद्र जी, हम जिस तरह की आवाज मुखरित हो रही है राष्ट्रपति बनने के बाद मेक अमेरिका ग्रेट अगेन को आधार बनाते हुए राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप की किस तरह से देखते हैं आप? अगर बहुत संक्षेप में देखें तो कई लोग बहुत एक्साइटेड हैं बिकॉज मेनी थिंग्स व्हिच वी एस्पायर्ड दैट should happen in America are happening, but at the same time there are many things which we didn't anticipate are likely to happen, and they may have some far-reaching impacts on international relations, trade, etc. So there is a gamut of many number of factors. Pick the one that is appealing to you most, Rajendra ji.
नमस्कार अशोक जी। सबसे चीज अगर मैं इसको इस तरीके से देखता हूँ कि करीबन 50 साल पहले WTO शुरू हुआ था
जी।
कि सब जगह था कि हम ओपन करेंगे, हर कोई कहीं भी बेच सकता है, धीरे धीरे सब रिड्यूस होने चाहिए, टैरिफ रिड्यूस होने चाहिए। और उन्होंने एक सिस्टम बनाया, उसके हिसाब से टैरिफ रिड्यूस हो रहे थे और सबको टाइम दिया था कि जो डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज है उनको थोड़ा ज्यादा टाइम मिला था टैरिफ रिड्यूस करने के लिए, ताकि डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज को एक मार्केट मिल सके। और उसका नुकसान डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज को ये हुआ कि उनके यहाँ से प्रोडक्शन चला गया, क्योंकि मार्केट तो डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज में था। अब वो उनको तकलीफ दे रहा है, तो अब हम वापस उस जगह पे आ गए कि प्रोटेक्शनिज्म पे, कि अब वर्ल्ड ट्रेड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन नहीं होगा, अब उसके हिसाब से काम नहीं होगा। अब हम प्रोटेक्शन करेंगे, हमारे जो मैन्युफैक्चरर्स है, हम चाहेंगे हमारे यहाँ मैन्युफैक्चर हो, हमारे यहाँ कंज्यूम हो, और अगर लेकिन इसके साथ पे हम चाहते हैं दूसरों के मार्केट भी मिलें। तो जो वर्ल्ड ट्रेड की जगह पर बायलैटरल ट्रेड होना शुरू हो गया है। पहले अगर मेरी किसी प्रोडक्ट पे अगर इंपोर्ट ड्यूटी होती थी तो हर कंट्री के लिए सेम होती थी, चाहे कहीं से भी आओ। अब वो जो बात हो रही है कि मेरी हर इंपोर्ट ड्यूटी जो है आपके और मेरे रिलेशन पे डिपेंड करेगी। किसी को मैं 0% दूंगा, किसी को 50 दूंगा, किसी को 30 दूंगा। तो हम वर्ल्ड ट्रेड से, जो ग्लोबल ट्रेड थे, उसे बायलैटरल ट्रेड पे आ गए हैं। ये एक बहुत बड़ा चेंज जो है वो हुआ है, जहां तक ट्रेड की बात है, मैं ये समझता हूँ।
राजेंद्र जी, सही कह रहे हैं आप। एक तरह का टर्म ट्रेड वॉर बहुत ज्यादा अखबारों में पढ़ने में आ रहा है। ट्रेड को लेकर खींचतान करते हुए कहीं लगता है अमेरिका अपने लिए जो देय है उसके बारे में बहुत ओपनली कैंडिडली जो बात कर रहा है, वो बहुत लोग एक्सपेक्ट भी कर रहे थे प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप से। बट एट द सेम टाइम कुछ बातें ऐसी हैं जो ऐसा लगता है कि एक जो इक्विलिब्रियम बना हुआ होता है चीज़ों के आने जाने का, और बहुत लोगों की लाइवलीहुड, इकोनॉमी, नॉट जस्ट ऑन द नेशनल लेवल, लेकिन सुधीर जी, बहुत जो एंटरप्रेन्योर्स हैं वो जिस तरह की पॉलिसी एक देश की होती है उसके आधार पर अपना लॉन्ग टर्म प्लान बनाते हैं। तो ये जो अमेरिका फर्स्ट ट्रेड पॉलिसी है, डू यू थिंक it is disrupting many entrepreneurs who have no say in the political orbit of any nation, And also allow me to add, while President Trump is working towards taking emergency measures to reduce the cost of living and cutting regulations to promote economic growth and job creation. These are the economy oriented initiatives of President Trump. How do you see that in the context of America as well as Indo US relationship?
See, firstly, thank you very much for having me on your show. Firstly, as an Indian, I have tremendous respect for America because America it's a large economy. It's the biggest economy in the world. Its per capita is huge. 5 times China, and China is 5 times us. And yet I have a trade surplus with USA. So this means that USA is a very important market for India. So any adversarial stand which will be taken by Trump will not be good for India. That goes without saying. But in the end, everything boils down to market. Everything boils down to bazaar, the market forces. So what do the market forces say? Okay, what as Rajendra sir very well explained, that we had the system of GATT with then WTO, in which there is no distinction between the country of origin which sends you supplies in terms of the tariffs that these are based upon broadly industrial products. For example, if I buy active pharmaceutical ingredient and India buys most of it from China, so whether it comes to me from China or it comes to me from Colombo, it does not matter, the tariff will be the same. But what Trump is now talking about, he's talking about reciprocal arrangement. So, for example, he's saying that why should India charge so much tariff, more than 100% tariff? I'm just giving a number on Harley Davidson. And he views India as a big market for heavy duty motorcycles. So, I can't fault Trump. Okay, I can't fault Trump. But will the market forces in America allow it? Because once you raise tariff from a country which is a regular source of supply for you, if you raise the tariff, that means the input cost of the final product in US is going to go high. If it goes high, that means there will be inflation, okay, or it will lose its market share. So exact magnitude of the impact will be seen not immediately, but it will be seen over a period of 1 year. I don't fault Trump because he came to power on the platform of making America great again, and he is currently facing a huge challenge. See, during the 80s, two countries made two mistakes. China made a mistake of limiting its population and telling its people to go on one child norm. America perhaps made the mistake of saying let us outsource all manufacturing to the east, and let us mainly concentrate on research and development, design and IP, and let's not emphasize too much on manufacturing. So what happens is, after 1980, so it's been 40 years, so there is a need for review. America also needs to go back to drawing board, and look at various pros and cons. So I think, and eventually it will depend upon the maturity of the leaders against whom he is placing tariff.
So, Sudhir,
Personally, yeah.
let me raise a question for Rajendra ji, and then probably you can also add your views. And I just want to be clear in terms of reciprocity of the amount of tariffs that is being imposed by one country, another country. Is that also not something in which you will also need to take the kind of products that we are talking about into account? For example, when you are referring to Harley Davidson or maybe car and uh, the duty imposed by India, will that be at par if we are talking about, say, spices coming from India or any other consumer items? So as you were referring, market forces uh, would make this something that would be pinching the consumer sitting in America, perhaps.
True,
But how
true.
it plays out, we'll see. And after 2nd April or by 2nd April, probably we have a better picture. But rather, your take on or your understanding on this particular aspect.
Yeah, you asked a very good question actually, and the same question was asked to Secretary of Commerce of Howard Lutnick. of US. And he said we can't go by product because then it takes number of years because there so many products are there. So he's talking about a flat tariff. That suppose with a weighted average, the India is putting some 20% tariff. Let America also put 20% tariff. It is weighted average. Now that 20% will be on everything. Then the question being asked that can India do that because our farmers, we have to protect the farmers. The US is protecting their farmers. Can we protect the farmers? Then you told, if in bilateral trade, what we can do, where you want to protect your products and your manufacturers, you put quota on that. That yes, farming product like mangoes or like any overall agriculture products, the tariff remains same, a flat on all the products, but farming products, let's say, will not have more than so many billions of dollars of import, not more than that. So that is what US, because reciprocal doesn't mean that my product I charge you same, because what I am exporting to the US, I'm not importing the same thing to the India. So there cannot be reciprocity from the product to product. It is on weighted average basis that overall how much I am charging you, you will charge me accordingly. So when they are having bilateral trade, they want to say they would prefer duty free everything. Whatever comes and goes in duty free. But if you want to have some tariff, both the countries, and then make some quota system where you want to protect your particular industry, and on that negotiation can go on. That is what US is talking about on the tariffs basis.
So, as we are talking about hopes and concerns, so along with hope, there are some concerns which are also visible by different people, and especially I can see the kind of anxiety which this might have generated among many entrepreneurs, and of course, politicians do have their role. Suriji, let me switch gears and look at the approach with which President Trump is leading in his second term. This happened with the previous government also. The initiatives which were taken by President Trump were reversed. And now similar thing is happening. But in addition to that, while accountability is being emphasized and the way Elon Musk is given a special role to play in the Trump presidency now, uh, there is one. I'll just mention few steps. Withdrawal from the Paris Climate Accord, that is energy and environment related issue. Then, in order to improve accountability, there is a special uh, um, center under the leadership of Elon Musk, which is working towards improving efficiency. Let me add one.
Doge.
Yeah, yeah. So let me add one more thing, and then I'll come to you, Suriji. There has been a lot of talk about DEIA, which was diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. If you go deep into studying it, it also relates to a lot of Indian origin people with the reference of caste coming in the corporate corridors with some special checks and balances, etc. So now that requirement is is going to be removed. So that is another initiative was you said being removed. Now in the light of all this, Sudhir, if I bring you about the foreign policy of America, and you remember the conversation between President Zelensky and President Trump, and the way he was being received as a hero with the previous uh, Biden White House. This time around, it was different. How do you see this overall, the kind of impact that has generated, and where it is going to lead, Sudhir?
Actually, let's start with the tariff, and I agree with Rajendra ji that if India imposes, let us say we are importing oranges from America, then America cannot actually put tariff on our oranges because we are importing it. So actually he has taken a slew of decisions. He has allowed it a slew of decision, but perhaps nobody has gone into the practicalities of implementing those decisions. So it is so much like, when we announced demonetization, and every day we used to have modifications. So at the end it was a very successful exercise, but it was, when it was launched, looked like it was launched in a haste. So I think the tariff plans which have been launched, they have been launched kind of to give a knee-jerk reaction to the world. So that is my feeling. Secondly, Trump is always, it is well known about Trump is that he will take a decision in the haste, but if he finds it is not going America's ways, he is flexible enough to turn around and get into negotiate another position. So that is my take on tariff. Because you take it from me, tariff raising tariffs will not be good for America. That I can tell you. I can write it down for you, and you can open that page next day when it happens. It will be bad for America, but does not mean that there should not be rationalization of tariff. He has to negotiate his position. That is number one. Number two is, the second question which you asked me was on the
Zelensky.
on Department of Government efficiencies. So there is absolutely no doubt. For example, today we know that there are there are more than 1,000 licenses of Adobe have been purchased by various government departments of USA, and none of them has been put to even one day use by any of the departments. So this was a newspaper today. So this talks about the amount of wastage that is going into procuring things which are not at all needed. So by all means, so that is why I praise Trump. You know, Trump is a true Republican in spirit, and he believes that less bureaucracy means better, more efficiency. To that extent, there is nobody can fault him. Then you spoke about Zelensky and how he got a huge reception when he was received by Biden. But Joe Biden was completely another person, actually. It appeared he was not in full command and, stuff like that. But whatever played out in the open media, that unfortunately has left in India people a lot divided. While people are not so much in awe of Zelensky, but they thought that this could have been handled inside, behind closed doors. He could have been given a dressing down, but not in the open, because after all he represents the head of a sovereign nation. On the question of general
Yeah,
things.
let's hold and let's take Rajendraji's input on the particular meeting. And I think they did have a closed door meeting, and this press conference was actually just to announce and sign. But the way things started, and Zelensky's reference to Putin not adhering to the agreement signed by him, and also blaming in a subtle way to President Trump. And as Vice President mentioned, Rajendraji, that he was not expressing gratefulness towards America for what America already has done for his country. Um, Overall, people have interpreted, analyzed that particular press conference in different ways. But President Trump, in the middle of it, also said that it is good that American people are watching it. And while sort of an apology letter was issued by President Zelensky, that also sort of validated the stand taken by President Trump. He said, "You do not have the strong cards, etc." Was it arm twisting? Do you see, Rajendraji, or do you see that this had a complete situation being addressed with the economic interests of America also becoming a part of it, because the deal involved minerals at Ukraine, Rajendraji?
Actually, Secretary of State Marco Rubio has told the thing what has happened really in one of the interview, that before this meeting, the meeting happened and they decided they're not going to sign this. Then they've been told to this that okay, then let's finish it. There's no point in going to the conference onto the press, and we'll just announce that we are not doing it and finish it. No, no, I would like to have a press conference. Okay,
This was Zelensky.
this was Zelensky. So Zelensky made it a point to come to the have a press this, knowingly well that he's not signing and this is already decided. Okay. Now, when he came there and did it, he actually, what was his position? He thought that America is democracy. So he wanted to put his case to the US population, public, so that there will be a force on Trump to help him. That was, he was trying to do it. If you see the whole, this first 40 minutes, whatever he told, Trump did not say anything. He just said, we would like to sign, we would like to close, we want to have the ceasefire, we want to have ceasefire. But then it came to such a point where then J.D. Vance could not take it, because J.D. Vance found it that this is his politics. He want to do like this and influence the public. Then he came on to it, and then he started talking. And then once the J.D. Vance stayed, then the Trump was also, then the Trump came into his full colors. Okay. So this was a basic tactics by Europe, by this, to make it a point to the American public that what is done by the Trump is not good, it is not humane, it is wrong, and we must take a stand against Russia, and he's not taking it.
Yeah,
So
right.
that was the thing.
Yeah,
and then yeah.
Sorry. No, I'll come back to you. Let me seek Sudhir's input on the role that European nations have played right after this sort of meeting, and there were a lot of supportive tweets for uh, President Zelensky, and he was also received well, etc. But in the scheme of the peace process between Ukraine and Russia, the role that European nations are playing at the moment, and there is a sort of triangular kind of a situation, which sometimes you feel that America is isolated in its stand and approach. Uh, but then you also see that there is genuine interest on the part of President Trump to bring peace, initiating dialogue with Putin, and overall, the role that NATO nations have played so far, has it helped Ukraine? The approach that they have right now, is it going to help in finding the peace? And again, the question about whose terms, at that, finally, as in Hindi, we have jiski lathi uski bhain. So, who has the lathi at the moment, Sudhirji?
See, I personally think that, in its foreign policy, while I support, the concept of making America great again, I think the isolationist tendency of US may not help it in the eventual run. As I wrote in my long post in LinkedIn, that Elbridge Colby, who's going to be number two in to the defense secretary. So he has made some pronouncements. Like, for example, he has said that NATO must meet its 2% GDP target on its defense budget. He said that uh, Japan must invest 3% of its GDP on its defense. And he said that Taiwan must spend 10% of its GDP. And the man is going to be your, your equivalent of Minister of State for Defense. So these kind of pronouncements, and if you couple them with the pronouncement made by President Trump when he called the Prime Minister of Canada as the 51st, the governor of 51st states, I personally feel that their intentions might be right. In the heart of hearts, they may have something good, but these things don't make a good optics. It is said about President Trump, and I'm an admirer of Trump. It is said that he is very good at making friends with enemies and making friends with enemies, and turning friends into, sorry, making enemies friends and turning friends into enemies or frenemies. So you look at NATO, for example. If you see NATO, the strongest man in NATO was United States of America. There are only two other members who are part of the nuclear club. One is France and one is Britain. We all know that Britain has already committed to up its defense spending. Now, France has come to the fore and it has assumed the leadership position among the NATO nationals. And he has said that my nuclear umbrella is available to all NATO members in Europe. I think no European leader ever had the gall to say such a thing. I personally think that NATO nations, they are Harsha used a word, the mischief of or something like that of the European allies. I don't disagree with him. It's quite possible that people will take advantage. I think look at China. China is absolutely
Yeah,
quiet, right?
no,
Quite
we'll have to wind up. We'll have to wind up.
yeah. So what I personally feel is that perhaps there is greater some amount of moderation required, in the way the other sovereign nation heads are addressed, the way they are
Yeah,
meant, and
agreed.
maybe
So,
down. Yeah.
Rajendra, just one last point, very briefly, the way the policy of those who have migrated illegally are to be sent back, and that was initiated, and there has been a lot of conversation in India, the way Indian origin migrants who cross the border illegally were sent back. There has been some criticism, and some people informally or even on television debates mentioned that Prime Minister Narendra Modi should have intervened and asked for respectfully sending those migrants, etc. So, your take on this very briefly.
My take is simple. Somebody is going illegal, is a criminal, and there is no point for any prime minister to tell anybody else who is a criminal. Okay, he is sending it back with his own cost. Suppose somebody when enters from Kashmir, from Pakistan, you shoot them. Okay, so sending, how is sending? If you are going illegal, there is no mercy on that. You're coming back, that's good. And what India is doing, that's very good, that once they come, then they find it, who are sending them, who are those culprits, and who are the agencies who are taking illegal things, and crack down on those, so next time it doesn't happen. So
Yeah.
I'm of this opinion as far as the illegal concerned. One small thing I would like to say in 1 minute, that UK, France, and Germany, what they are talking about, actually they are till now has been just been everything is given by the US to them for their defense. The active soldiers in of Germany is 2,300 only, and now they are talking about helping the Zelensky. The total military strength of any of these three countries, UK, France, and Germany, not more than 100,000. It is ranging with 100,000 to 200,000 total, with normally 30 to 40% is only the fighting combat, all other helping the others. So they have not spent any money on their own security, and just and that Trump now he understands that he has to fight China in next 10 days or 10 years or 15 years, 20 years. And they have 36 trillion of debt against their total revenue of annual revenue only 5 trillion. And every year they are having a deficit of 1.2 trillion. So they will never be able to pay off this debt and will go on debt trap. So he had no other choice. He's a sane person. He has no other choice than to tell all others that I'm not going to spend that much of money.
Yeah, I think I'll have to stop there. And very frequently we hear in America that people say there is no free lunch. So in one way, what was being offered for free by America to several countries through several organizations, Trump is putting a full stop on that, or at least reviewing it in the interest of America. There are many themes which are springing up by the initiatives and disruptive stand taken by President Trump. We'll be talking about them down the line. Sudhir, thank you very much for joining. Rajendra, thank you very much. And thanks to all of you for being with us. And let us watch this exciting phase, which is touching everyone. And also, we'll talk about hopes and concerns that reaches us through these initiatives. Once again, thanking my friend panelists, Rajendra Sudhir, and thanking all of you for joining us. Namaste.
Thank you.